Thank you very much. Well, without further ado, we'll start the meeting. And the first item on the agenda is to note the terms and references of this committee. Does everybody take note of that? Thank you very much. And the second item on the agenda is apologies for absence. And I think Heather's got a list of the apologies.
Apologies for absence is Councillor Reid, Councillor Humphrey, Councillor Gallagher and Councillor Purvis.
Thank you. Anyone else from the floor? No anyone? Thank you. Well, we'll move swiftly on to item number 4 on the agenda, disclosures of members' interest. Do we have any disclosures that hasn't already been disclosed to Heather? No. Thank you very much for that. And then obviously we'll move on to public question time, but there isn't any. So that goes on to number 6 on the agenda, and there isn't any petitions. And then now we'll go to item 7, local services issues, and I would like to introduce Paul Jones, who is going to be the first officer to give his report. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, could I interrupt, please? Councillor Lang wanted to raise an issue on the minutes.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Councillor Lang, I must apologise. I'm terribly sorry. Councillor Lang.
Actually, I just wanted to highlight something and ask a question of whether it's been carried out. On page 6 of the minutes, it was resolved that the cabinet that the public conveniences in Newbiggin be transferred to the Newbiggin Town Council, and 20,000, which had been set aside for repairs or demolition, now was no longer go to the Town Council. Has that taken place?
Well, maybe I could I ask Paul
Chair,
to?
yes,
please, if you don't mind, Paul.
The issue was considered or reported to the local area council previously, and that request was to go back through full cabinet, effective cabinet, to consider the recommendations made by LAC, which was to not provide the £20,000 funding. That paper hasn't yet gone to Cabinet, but it has been prepared, and it's just trying to get into the Cabinet cycle at the moment. So that item will be reported to Cabinet in due course.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Lang?
Well, I do think Town Council's not going to be very happy with not getting the 20,000 again with gas.
That decision hasn't been taken. The recommendation from the local area council has been reported to Cabinet, and it's Cabinet's decision as to whether or not that recommendation is supported or not. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Thank you, Paul. Daniel, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, it's just on the minutes, Chair.
Yeah.
On page 2, if we've had any response from either of the inspectors for future attendance.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, it's just on page 2. Just wondering if either of the inspectors have given any response to a future attendance.
Yes. Would you like to answer that, Heather?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There is an item on September's agenda where there'll be a policing update.
Is that all right, Daniel?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Paul, would you like to continue? Sorry about that, Councillor Lang. I apologise. Thank you, Paul.
So, thank you. My name's Paul Jones. I'm the Director of Local Services. For those new county councillors on the local elections, hello and welcome. My service area covers all of the highways and technical services side, as well as neighbourhood services. So Ray's here from the neighbourhood services. I'm standing in tonight for Mick Carl, who unfortunately couldn't make it, who's the area highways manager for your patch. It would normally be Mick that would be presenting the information. So I'm not as close to the operational details, but I'll try and field any questions that you may have regarding the highways functions that have been undertaken since the last meeting. So just in terms of the highways activities, we are obviously just reviewing risk assessments and methods of working following the announcements around the government easing of COVID restrictions. We don't envisage there being any significant changes to our current working methods and risk assessments, because fundamentally we need to ensure that both our workforce and our members of the public are kept safe from whilst we're undertaking the various works that we undertake around the county, and obviously work within the depots is similar to that. So we are maintaining a lot of those risk assessments and methods of working, so you'll still see staff, for example, wearing face masks in vehicles and things such as that. But fundamentally, it's business as usual and trying to crack on and get the work undertaken. And they're working very hard in doing that. So the gully empty is out and fully deployed with its activities at the moment, and the cyclic maintenance and picking up any reports. Likewise, the highway inspectors are undertaking their work and getting on top of the large amount of work that was caused by the severe winter and breaking the back of that now and really getting on top of that. In terms of large tarmac patching, structural patching activity, they've been busy since the last meeting. So I've got a big long list here and I'll just read out some of the locations. So they've been undertaking works at Amble Close in Blyth, Cresswell Drive in Blyth, Castledale Avenue in Blyth, Bottlebank, Spencer Road, the Soligen Estate, and then into Ashington at Meadowfield, Westview, Park Road, Milburn Road and Arnold Square as well. They've also been doing drainage improvements, which is an ongoing area of activity within the capital programme. So there's been works undertaken at Links Road in Blyth, Avondale Avenue, Laverick Hall Road in Blyth, Furnace Bank in Bebbside, Curlew Way in Blyth, Croft Road in Blyth, Chestnut Street in Ashington, Gattaca Street, Cheviot View and Rosalind Street, all in Ashington as well. There's also a really big programme of tarmac resurfacing works, undertaking significant areas of resurfacing on the highway, and there's work undertaken, or rather upcoming work being planned and will be delivered between now and the next local area council meeting, which includes works at Drewridge Crescent in Blyth, Briar Dean Roundabout in Ashington, Renwick Road in Blyth and College Road in Ashington. There's also works planned for Laverick Hall Road in Blyth, Swaledale Avenue Blyth and Simonside Avenue in Newbiggin. I'm sure you'll all be aware that we also undertake a programme of microsurfacing works, which is the use of a bitumen material that's a novel treatment that helps effectively waterproof the road surface. We use that in urban areas as an alternative approach to what you would normally see out on more rural roads where you get the surface dressing programme. And that works really well, but it does take a little bit of time to bed in, and we normally have complaints from members of the public that see it go down and they think, oh my God, what's happened? And then a fortnight later they're over the moon because it's bedded in, it's tracked in, and it's a really good finish, and it's a very cost-effective way to maintain the roads in those areas. So that microsurfacing work is started now in the county. It is highly weather dependent, so we need good fair weather to do that. The work started across the county on the 29th of June, and that programme of activity using a number of private contractors to undertake it on our behalf runs until the end of July. That's being weather dependent. If we can squeeze a little bit more out, we will. During that time, we expect in your patch to have undertaken microsurfacing works in William Street in Blyth, Jubilee Street in Blyth, Woodhorn Lane in Ashington, Bywill Road in Ashington and Barnston in North Seaton. The other thing I wanted to just mention was a major piece of work, which is the refurbishment of the Klondike Bridge on the A189 Spine Road. That's undertaking concrete repairs and waterproofing. That's quite a significant activity, and it does impact on the Spine Road itself. We're undertaking that during the school holidays because that's obviously the area where we can get the least disruption to the travelling public. So those works will be commencing on the 19th of July and lasting for approximately 7 weeks. They will be undertaken under full traffic management. We are keeping the A189 open during that period, but it will be on a contraflow system. So we'll basically have the northbound carriageway closed for a period of time. I think that's around about a 3-week period, and then switch that to the southbound lane being closed for a 4-week period. So we do envisage there will be some delays. You can't do works of that nature without some delays, but there is advanced signage and communications out at the moment just to pre-warn motorists that those works are going to be undertaken. And it's fundamentally just to maintain and ensure the safety of that key structure going forward and undertaking that key bit of maintenance work now. Thank you. And that's all the update I've got. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Paul, for that comprehensive report. I'm sure we'll all appreciate it. If members would like to, Kath, would you like to switch your mic on, please?
Thanks for that update, Paul. The fact on Renwick Road, is this to do with the cycle path? Because I know there's a lot of angry residents there that don't want the extra traffic lights put along there, because at the end of the day it's going to be about 5 traffic lights on Renwick Road leading on to Coupon Road, which is going to end up the congestion the same as what we've got on Coupon Road now, going up to Kitty Brewster. So, I mean, I know it's Martin Providing or somebody that's got it as the lead on it, but residents are quite angry at the fact that if it goes ahead, the problems it could cause. One, going down Princess Louis Road, I'll divert traffic down there, and the other one down Cypress Drive, which could convert traffic going down there, and also on the Union Street where I've got big problems with the garages there. So, you know, we really don't want this to happen.
I'll check, but as far as I'm aware, Kath, it is purely just resurfacing works that we're talking about at this instance.
Right, okay.
Because that scheme would need to go through the formal approvals process before the cycle scheme itself was taken forward.
Okay.
Thank you, Kath. Jane, would you like to come in?
Yeah, can
I was covering the ones that have been done as well as the ones that are going to be done. Yeah.
I was hoping you were, I hope you were going to say Burnside, but never mind.
Eileen, sorry, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, can I just come in on what Kath was on about before? The roads there, I've had a number of people contact me about the fact that they're going to do a cycle path up one of the streets there, which would take quite a lot of parking places away. Now, I cycle a lot, and quite frankly, I would just cycle up the back lane, and I think a lot of cyclists would do the same. So I think it's about looking at that cycle path, taking away them car parking spaces. I think that's not a good idea.
Paul, would you like to respond?
So I haven't seen the detail of that proposal, but what I would say is that with any cycle provision, and clearly provision of cycling and walking infrastructure, improving cycling and walking infrastructure is really important to make that more, accessible for people and to get people out of cars for those short journeys in towns, which is one of the key objectives of the County Council and the government generally as well, and one that I'm sure we would all support in principle. But as part of that, there are compromises, and some of that is reallocation of road space, it is reallocation of car parking spaces as part of that, but that has to be part of the consultation and the communication process so that balance is struck right, and the majority of the community are supportive of those proposals going forward. So I would expect that to be still in the planning process in terms of the dialogue and the engagement with the local community as to what the details of that scheme are and will be going forward.
Thank you, Eileen. Caroline, would you like to come in?
Hi, I've just got a question with regarding Ashington and the Grand Street corner off North Seaton Road, and I'm just wondering what is happening with the flow of traffic from there and addressing the problems, and because it is a major issue and many residents are aware of it and make me aware of it as well.
So there were proposed changes to the traffic configuration and layout there as part of the Portland Park development works, that those highway schemes have been partially undertaken in terms of the new north-south road through Portland Park itself. The further phase of activity is currently going through effectively like a design review to determine what the best way forward is with that, following various issues that came out through that process. So there's 3 options being considered and are worked up at the moment, and there'll be some further dialogue and consultation regarding those 3 options coming out fairly soon.
Are you happy with that response, Caroline?
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul, for a comprehensive report. Is greatly welcome. Thank you. Now, could I move swiftly on to Ray Whelans, who I'm sure is going to give another good report. It's over to you, Ray.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll certainly try to live up to them expectations.
No pressure, Ray.
There's just some information to make the local area councils aware of. On the waste service, residual and recycling waste collections continue to perform well, but the ever-increasing number of new bills is a concern, and we are currently undertaking a review of that. The garden waste service has been stretched several times already this season. It's just, again, the new bills have stretched the service. The perfect growing conditions also increased the weight of the grass cuttings in the bins. So in basic terms, this means the more trips to the composting facility, as the wagons obviously fill up faster. Each trip to the facility does add time to the working day and challenges our ability to complete rounds at some times before the facility closes, and we cannot access them. But as usual, we will undertake a garden waste review at the end of the season to look for efficiencies and make the service more manageable. Just for information, we have 569 new customers in our area so far this year, giving a total of 9,918 at present in the South East, which is an increase, as you say, of another 569 on last year when we closed. I'll move on to grass cutting. We now uncut 6 and 7 in both Blyth and Ashington areas. The grass cutting has been a challenge for our teams in the early part of the year. We experienced a prolonged period of rain, which lasted most of May, and then experienced very warm weather, and the grass grew rapidly. They presented two challenges. The first was to complete the cutting rounds efficiently to avoid the long and seemingly unmanaged grass on view. The second was the inevitable grass horizons left following our cut of grass, which was longer than usual. Both situations mentioned above mean we must acknowledge that for reasons were beyond our control, standards did slip during the month of June, but thankfully conditions have stabilised and our amenity grass has returned to normal standards. Just on the grass cutting and for information, we are starting the night shift on the 189. So our councillors have seen the grass on the verges of the 189. That starts this Saturday, but there is a gap because of the work that's going on the bridge works on that. So this Saturday, then we'll miss a weekend and follow the next 3 weekends we'll be out to do the normal cuts and cleansing and litter picks. Moving on to everybody's favourite, weed control. We are delivering in-house again this year, and it has seen unprecedented growth in the grass and weeds around Northumberland as a whole, not just within the Ashington and Blyth area. But we are working within Ashington and Blyth, and hopefully we'll see a difference in the coming weeks. The in-house approach has worked well in previous years, so we are adopting the same this time. And it is fair to say we are slightly behind where we were last year. Weather conditions mentioned above also affected the weed growth, and this has created another challenge which we are working through. Blyth has had 100% coverage on the first pass along with Ashington, but already the areas we covered at the first from May are starting to show through quite strongly. We have teams out in the Ashington area. We bought some new weed rippers. We did get them as a trial, which I'll come on to, but we found them really good and working really well, so we purchased a couple more. And we're working through the little side streets, mainly in the Hurst area at present in Ashington, but we've also bought 2 for the Blyth area, and they're working there with them. The results on that have been really good. We have some issues with Japanese knotweed in Blyth and Ashington, which we've got specialised treatment for, and that's ongoing. It's, as everybody knows, knotweed's a vicious plant, and it can lead to serious issues. We'll carry out the second pass on our weed killing basically straight away, but I do believe that we might either have to carry out a full third pass or do some reactive work later on in the year. We have been carrying out a glyphosate alternative trial. It's the products that we've been using county-wide in sort of carefully chosen locations. These results will be analysed and products will either be considered for use in future or excluded on the grounds of poor performance. We are trialling the following alternative methods, which is the weed ripper brush, which has been really good and mechanical with immediate results. And it's been, we follow with a spray as well. And I've got to pronounce these, and I'm pleased that we've put in some pronunciation letters here. So we are doing it's called N-Clean, but it's an nononic acid, which is colourless oily liquid with an unpleasant smell. So we'll probably get some complaints about the smell when we get around, but never mind. And the other one is a pelargonic acid, which ideally should, they advertise it as extremely rapid and non-selective burn down on that. But again, we'll do a formal report to all on that in the nearer time. We have done some burning with Lance, which has been trialled in the past. We've even trialled the new one, the hot foam, and that's again a report will be made. And also a no-mix dual. This is a glyphosate base, but this product we use less. It uses less of the glyphosate with the dual chemicals in there. So we will be producing a formal report and a trial outlined in the findings. Just for some county-wide information on the verge cutting, work started on schedule again this year. We're on target to complete all the works by the end of this month. There's no real verge works carrying on in the southeast, but there's 6.8 million square metres of verge to cut in the county. Memorial testing again. We have tested approximately 50,000 memorials in the county, and all of the memorials are now in scope. This means they've all been safely tested. Again, for information, the glass trial we're carrying out is ongoing in the Bedlington area for the southeast, and to date we've collected 58.7 tonne from the Bedlington area. The total throughout the 4 trial areas is a total of 216 tonne, and it's going really well. So that's the end of the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ray, once again, because you've given comprehensive report and explained the difficulties you've had throughout this year, which we do appreciate, and I'm sure that some councillors would like to express their views with regard to them. I'll be, you know, yeah, thank you. Alex, would you like to start the conversation off?
Thanks very much. I think it's necessary that I explain I'm from the Sleekburn ward. I would like to use that word because I haven't heard it yet. I have no problem at all of colleagues in Ashington and Blyth getting things done, but I've heard 2 officers give comprehensive reports and I've not heard one mention of the Sleekburn ward, with the exception of the A189, which of course is a quick way of leaving Sleekburn. Can I ask, when you are doing the A189, will you also be doing the slip roads, and in particular Brock Lane, where I've reported repeatedly about not just the grass, the weeds, the excess waste that comes from the vehicles that access sewers at West Sleekburn? Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Caroline?
Yeah, my question's just with regards to the Japanese knotwood. I know that you've been dealing with the stuff on NCC land. What's happening with the growth on the railway line? And can I just have an update on that, please?
Thank you, Caroline. Ray, are you going to reply to that? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Caroline, we have informed Howarth Estates and the National Rail on that, and I'm still waiting for a reply. I chased them up this morning, actually. I sent another email to them. But I will carry on. I'm meeting to speak to Jimmy Reef when he gets back next. Well, I'll be leaving a message for him for next week, but he's got a contact number for them. And once we get that, we'll chase them up again. But we have sent emails off to them expressing concerns about the growth of the knotweed on their side. It's just down the back, obviously, the rail line, going down the back of the Ashington Town Council Hall and that.
Happy with that, Caroline?
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. Ray, may I just ask, we've had several residents, you know, but with regard to weed killing, saying that, you know, at one time, and we know you did put dye down, so it was identifying areas that had been done. Now, we've had residents asking again that, you know, because they knew then there had been, would this new system you got where it's got an obnoxious smell, the people will be able to smell that and know you've actually been there and you've sprayed, because if you're anticipating we're going to get some, you know, issues regarding that, but at least if that's the case, residents will know they've actually been sprayed. So thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, it is in a trial area, Chair, and it's just one of these things. I thought I'd put a little footnote because it mentions that when anybody going away from here and going into Wikipedia, they'll see the talk about the oily substance and does have a smell, but you wouldn't actually smell it going past it. You know. Can I just come in to Councillor Wallace? Yeah,
certainly.
Yeah, I'll take that on board, Councillor, and have a look at the slip roads, and we do know about the issues along that main road leading into Suez.
Thank you, that's appreciated.
And of course, certainly look into that.
I also spoke to Paul a week or 2 ago, and I thank you for your reply on cycle routes. I noticed there was no report on cycle routes here, and with this good weather and with the staycations that we're having and the number of foreign visitors we get along the Camas foreshore, it's surprising, Chairman, how many people actually visit, and what they're having to do. And with the Giga plant coming, I fear for their safety. Instead of riding on a national route, they'll have to access the sea road along with 2,000 vehicles every shift. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Jim, would you like to come in?
Just ask you a additional question. Posts and signs and such. I mean, I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we try to do that, to be honest, but we have had experienced some difficulties on operations with even now with COVID.
Right.
I'm not saying that's any excuse for that, because we can get staff if we can from the agency and do that.
Yeah.
But it is in our plans for next year for that, is to get the teams working together.
Right.
Because there is a discrepancy within the cuts. I'm not denying that, between the cuts and the trimming.
Yeah.
But we will address that problem.
Okay.
With that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Before I forget now, I know I've got Kath to come in. May I also ask if it's possible to have a programme, you know, sent out to the councillors where the gully cleansing team's going to be, because we've all got issues with gullies. And, you know, and it's been, you know, we know there's been a lot of rain and they've been blocking the gullies up, etc., and the drains, and we've had loads of residents, you know, because of the obnoxious smells, etc. So it would be you know, really helpful if we could have see where the gully sweepers are going to go, and if in fact every ward are going to have a gully sweeper going around, even if we've got a programme of works. That would be very, very helpful, if you don't mind.
Certainly,
I
Chair.
know it's putting more pressure on your team, and we do appreciate that you're working very hard, but it would just be very helpful so we could just keep our residents in touch with, you know, with these issues, and say, oh, well, yes, well, hopefully, if there's, you know, weather permitting and vehicles being on the road, we should be looking in whatever ward to be there in the next couple of weeks, and then that appeases some of the residents' concerns.
I'm coming there, Chair. On this one, I'll certainly pass it on to me.
We have tried that previously, Chair, and it is extremely difficult because the programme changes in response to reactive work as well, and having to deal with, you know, if there's any severe weather incidents or any high rainfall incidents to cope with any surface water flooding. So it can be as out as date as soon as we put it out, and that's obviously then creates issues for your good selves as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but you know, it's just an idea if it's possible, and then we can explain to our residents, well, as emergency cropped up, and unfortunately it's had to be knocked back a little bit, and residents would appreciate that and take it on board. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Ray. Jim, did you want to come back in?
No, that's fine.
Oh, I thought so. Oh, so it was Kath. Terribly sorry, Kath.
My question is about the grass cutting. I just thought about it there. When do you not put the box on the grass cutters anymore? The reason I'm asking the question is because of the sheltered schemes. I've got about 3 in my ward, and what happens is they've been picking the grass, cutting the grass, great, and I'm not knocking these lads any, because they're fantastic for what they're doing at the times we've got, but it's just a case in sheltered schemes when they're cutting the grass. We do need that picked up, because when you're going along the path, they could easily slip or anything like that. And you're talking about these people in their 80s and 90s, and it's just about being careful, you know, just looking after them, really. You know, so if you can look into that, because I was told that they leave the grass on now because it matures or something, but I don't think, well, that's what I was told, but I don't think it's right in sheltered schemes because of the residents that live there. Thank you.
I'll certainly take that forward.
Thank you, Kath. Is any other councillors like to raise any issues with the officers before they've been let off quite lightly today, I think? I'm sure they'll greatly appreciate that. But just like to thank the officers for their time and coming and giving us such comprehensive reports. We do appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Now, the Ashington and Blyth Community Chest Grant panel are as follows. Councillor Carr, Chair, Councillor Simpson, Councillor Nisbet, Councillor Grimshaw and Councillor Reid. And the first meeting will take place on a Teams meeting, 5 p.m. on the 28th of July. So that's just for information only and to note. And also we have appointments to Blythe Valley Disabled Forum. So I wonder if anybody would like to be on that particular outside body for Blythe Valley Disabled Forum. Have anyone here that would like to? Kath?
I was on it. Sorry. I was on it through the Blythe Town Council, but I came off and just allow another member to go on. But I'd be quite glad to go back on it, as from the county side of it. Not a problem.
Thank you very much, Kath. That's greatly welcomed. Now, Briardale Community and Training Centre Community Association, we need one representative. So I don't know if we've got any volunteers for that here this evening. Margaret.
I would nominate Margaret Richardson for
Margaret.
it.
Right, thank you very much. That's welcome. And also got Community and Voluntary Action, Blythe Valley. Have we got a volunteer for that this evening, please?
Can I nominate Anna?
Anna? Anna, would you?
Yes, I'll.
problem with me is it would be too much of a conflict of interest because I run a charity in Blyth, so it wouldn't be right.
Thank you.
And, Chair, I'm on it from the Blyth Town Council anyway, so...
All right, thank you, councillors. So Anna, thank you. That's lovely. Thank you very, very much. Now we'll come to the next one, Northumberland Community Voluntary Action. So have we got a volunteer for that?
Is that the one at once then?
Yeah. Well, perhaps we could look at it at another time because we haven't got, you know, a full complement of councillors.
Is there none of the Ashington councillors interested? Because it is in one spec area, although it does cover all of Northumberland. But again, I could not sit on that because it would be too much of a conflict.
Well, I know Ken was on it, but I don't. Ken, would you like? Oh, you're not? I thought you were. Sorry. Well, perhaps we can, you know, there's some councillors missing from Ashington, so perhaps we can discuss that, you know, and then bring it perhaps at the next meeting, if you don't mind. Thank you very much, anyway. Thank you.
I run an organisation in Ashington, so it'll be a complete conflict.
Well, we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it and bring it back. But thank you for all those who's, you know, volunteer to do those outside bodies. It's greatly appreciated. Move. Item number 9. Anyone got any questions or anything that want to discuss on that right now? No? And then we'll move on to item number 10, the Local Area Works Programme. Oh, sorry. It's Eileen, sorry. Terribly sorry, Eileen.
Sorry about that. I'm just wondering, right, I think I've asked this before. For the past 8 years when I've been a councillor, the amount's been 15,000 allocated to each councillor per year, and it's never gone up, right? And I'm just wondering if there's a proposal could be put to the Cabinet to see if there could be an increase in that for councillors to spend, because like 15,000's been there for all the time I've been a councillor, and it doesn't take 2 minutes to spend it.
Heather, would you?
Yes, that's noted.
Thank you.
Are you happy with that, Eileen? Thank you very much. Right, now we'll move on to item number 10, Local Area Council Works Programmes, to be noted, unless anyone's got any questions or queries on that. No, thank you. Now the next item is the date and time of next meeting to be noted, because obviously we've got a LAC area council meeting, and there's, you know, discussions to be had about, you know, looking at the LAC. So it's just to be noted at this present moment in time, and we will get back to you to say when the next meeting is going to be. But I was remiss of me to not welcome one new county councillors. So it's lovely to see everyone, and we hope that you enjoy your 4 years term in the county. And it's delightful to see you, and I'm sure you'll have loads and loads of questions in future LAC meetings to these officers and give them a hard time. Thank you.